1. Let's see. Oh gosh, let me go to my dashboard and see if it's coming through.
Yeah, let's see.
Because I don't know, it's showing up as green on my side.
Oh no, I'm going to your thing now.
Could be bad. Could be really bad. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, if this is, I'm going to go ahead and go through and spout out my normal intro since I don't. Okay, so this is the Arrowverse Flash After Party with me and Pagey. If you're watching this on playback, there will be spoilers. And there will be timestamps, too. So you can go back and skip through from this live stream. If it's working. If it's working. We're going to have to wait and see. We do have some people in the chat. Working. So,
yeah.
Look, people are already asking. Okay, so I'm going to turn the floor over to Pagey so he can explain his frustration. You got 2 or 3 people already are asking about your review. Here we go. What's going on, Pagey?
Okay, so essentially YouTube decided to eat its own asshole tonight and just really not work. And basically by eat its own asshole is that the creators are the one that upload stuff to YouTube and basically keep the website going, but the website is not allowed people to upload content. So essentially my video has been stuck in processing for almost 2.5, actually I think it's bang on 2.5 hours right now. And I've looked, I'm not even in the worst. There's people that have had their videos like processing for like 4.5, going on 5 hours. I don't know what's going on. How YouTube hasn't fixed it yet is almost laughable because
they just tweeted. They just tweeted about it.
Yeah, YouTube's working on it. They tweeted, "Oh yeah, 4 hours late." Like right. Jesus Christ.
And I don't think it's some, in air quotes, some.
Yeah, they say some. Do you mean everyone that's uploading in modern day?
I haven't seen a video in 2 hours. I haven't seen a video in 2 hours. So.
Oh no, there's videos going up, but they're all 360 as if people like making their videos on Windows 95 or something.
So that's why. So Pagey is patiently watching his
patiently
his
in quotations, yeah,
to see if his video goes live or whatever. So if there is any kind of like error in this video, like if you guys are experiencing issues, just refresh, because I don't want that. How did that pop up like that? Well, that's interesting. Let's do a bunch of faces, I guess. Why is that up like that? There we go.
What?
The thing, the chat got stuck on emojis. Like, what in the world?
You gotta click the little, I think it's like a keyboard or something?
Yeah, no, I clicked it, but I didn't, it popped up without me doing anything. Like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, someone just said the live stream's smooth. It's the weird, live stream is like perfect at the moment on YouTube, but no one can upload.
Yeah, okay, so anyway... Now that that's out of the way, hopefully Pagey's video will be up soon.
Or in at least 5 hours from now. I'll probably go up at like midnight my time. Like, oh, that's a convenient time.
Everybody is so upset about Cicada. You do realize we do this in a certain order, so we will get to that. So just hold on to that. We will talk about it.
We have to get through the SJW politics first.
And that's going to be really quick. So we're going to talk about Supergirl really fast because the episode, to me... Well, let's just throw up the pictures here, all right? All right, so this week's episode of Supergirl was titled Stand and Deliver. It was just a continuation of the story. What were you going to say?
Did it stand and deliver?
Yeah, stand and deliver. It's just a continuation of the story with the Elite and stuff that's going on with Agent Liberty. And I mean, I thought it was an okay episode. We had Alex on security detail for Agent Liberty, which was like, I mean, I knew he was going to be working with the DEO, so that wasn't a big surprise to me. Let's see, Supergirl with the other aliens and people with Team Supergirl were dealing with... Okay, so let's go ahead and skip ahead, because episode really was kind of whatever. Okay, so we're supposed to believe when Kara is in Supergirl's suit, people don't know who she is. That is the world that they live in on Earth 38, right? But then in this episode, Supergirl is wearing, and there's a picture of it right now, wearing like a Snuggie, or one of those like robe things you put on backwards over here. And we're supposed to believe that she still looks like Supergirl to everybody, including Alex.
Yeah.
Because that looks like Kara right there. And, I mean, I'm just like... Okay. It's just... It takes me out of it, right? Every time I see stuff like that, it takes me out of it. And I know it's just part of the lore. It's part of the mythos of the Superman family. I don't know. The Elite are still pretty cool. I did have a problem with the Hat character because, ready for the nitpick, guys? When they teleport to the Fortress of Solitude, they teleport outside the door. They use the key to open the door. Then once they're inside, Hat teleports out after he gets an argument with Manchester. And, the team shows up to, like, catch him and all that. And he steps inside that door with a Sun Eater. But then he shows up again later because the Hat rescued him. How did the Hat teleport into that room? Because he could teleport out from the Fortress of Solitude, but according to the way they set it up, he couldn't teleport into the Fortress of Solitude. But somehow he was able to teleport in that room to rescue Manchester Black from the Sun Eater character. So I'm like, okay. I did like Manchester Black getting, like, tech to sort of give him powers. I thought that was kind of cool. Agent Liberty is just as annoying as ever. And then supposedly James was shot and killed in this episode. I believe that about as much as I believe the fact that Diaz is dead, and put it that way.
Well, I saw as soon as he got shot, I was like, oh, he's conveniently been shot directly in the spine. Can't wait to see where this goes. Couldn't see Lena Luthor taking him in and putting him in that program and giving him like some sort of bionic spine or something.
Right.
And then,
because they kept pushing that whole thing about them being separated and all that was going on in this episode. And I'll be honest with you guys, that this episode of Supergirl didn't really do much for me. It wasn't bad.
It's just,
Yeah. And then somebody said, what about Keelix? Right. Like, where was he at the whole time? So anyway, we're going to move on. I don't really want to sit and talk about this. This episode to me was a blah episode. There wasn't much else. What else happened? Did anything else happen? I mean...
No, I can't think of anything. It was just a blah episode where they just chucked that thing at the end to get people talking with James.
And when, at the very beginning of the episode, when Dreamer is trying to interrogate Menagerie, she's got her energy right there in her face, and she's like, in her face, you're going to tell us. Supergirl's like, hold on. That's not how we do it. So, Dreamer steps back, and then John proceeds to do the same thing that Dreamer just did. Like, gets in her face and says, you're going to tell us. And I'm like, we just went over that. Anyway, so in the chat, you guys give me your rating of Supergirl from 0 to 10, or from 1 to 10, I should say, of what you thought about Stand and Deliver. And, yeah. Maxwell Lord. Oh my gosh. It's never going to go away. Negative 106. Yeah, the Red Daughter storyline is apparently just, they forgot about it. You know what I mean?
I had someone debating me. It's like, oh, Supergirl's got is far more progressed than Arrow this season because they made clear who their villain is. And I was like, who's the villain? They went, what they wrote? They wrote Agent Liberty / Manchester Black. And I went, what about Red Daughter? And they went, oh, her as well.
Lex Luthor? Lena?
Yeah.
I mean, they could be the villains. Like,
well, the Lex Luthor trailer for next week I think is a bit misleading because I think most of that trailer is flashbacks from like before he went to prison. Mm-hmm. The whole Red Sun thing, I think people think that's going to happen next episode. I'm pretty damn sure that's going to be a whole Superman sequence in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
And then it shows that court scene, then it goes him to go into prison, and then in present day, he's sick. And he's about to die.
Yeah. So a lot of the Lex stuff we're going to see is apparently going to be flashbacks, right? I mean, that's what everybody's saying.
I think it is. Like him standing and being threatening is going to be flashbacks.
Yeah.
Which I think will be cool because it's actually going to show us like actual, like just Superman being Superman. Like this is before Kara became Supergirl.
Right.
Which I don't think we've seen before.
No, we haven't. By the way, Amethyst, I hope you're feeling better after your surgery. I know you had surgery, so I'm glad to see you in here. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to better stuff and talk about maybe better stuff. I don't know. There's like this week has been one of those weeks where I've seen like all the shows go in both directions when it comes to people. Let's talk about Arrow and the episode Training Day, which here's another misleading trailer because according to the information and the trailer, I thought this episode was going to be all about the training, and it really didn't have that much to do with it.
It's like a 5-minute montage in the beginning.
Yeah. So, the premise of this episode supposedly was that our team was going to be training, learning the ways of the police department, and that really wasn't the focus of the episode. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, it was called Training Day, but there wasn't really that much training, not with this or in the future stuff. So I don't understand the name. Maybe there was a working title and they just went with Training Day. I don't know.
Maybe it was one of those things. I don't know. I guess maybe you could argue that maybe it comes in with William as well because he did a bit of training and not being an idiot.
Okay, that works.
Maybe, I don't know if you really want to stretch it out, but I don't know. Yeah. As I said, going into the episode, I thought it was going to be crap. I thought it was going to be like a
Me
really
too.
below average hour episode.
I thought so
and I was
too.
actually surprised because I was like, I left the episode going, you know what, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was, well, they set the expectation low going in. Like, this is what it's going to be, and then you get something else. This was definitely a better episode than last week's episode, for me anyway. I think this is a better episode. One thing I have to say, though, and I think about this sometimes, and people bring it up when it comes to The Flash, but they never bring it up when it comes to Arrow, and that is, how are Oliver and Felicity affording all of this stuff for this house? Because they have a really, really nice, like, apartment, and everyone else lives in, like, average places. Where's the money coming from again?
Well, I'm just guessing it's because Felicity inherited Palmer Tech.
So that's it? You think that's all it is?
Well, I'm guessing like when she got kicked out of that, she would have got some sort of payoff. And it would have, because she was the owner, I'm guessing she had shares, so they had to buy the shares out, so she would have got money. So
it's never been really addressed, which is...
It's not properly explained, but Felicity's basically like filthy rich. Like, she should be. Yeah. They don't really flaunt it. Like, Felicity's not wearing an Apple Watch with AirPods and stuff like that. Yeah. She's not doing that at the moment on the show. I'm guessing CW...
Why not? When you got it, flex on them.
Yeah.
I mean...
Maybe CW is waiting for the Apple sponsorship so they can just get free AirPods sent in. Everyone's just walking with AirPods. But yeah, I'm guessing that's what... And then also, Oliver was mayor, so I'm guessing he had... I don't know, what's it like in America with you? If you're like a former politician, do you still get paid for being... In Australia, it's weird. Like, if you're in a certain political position...
You do.
If you just held it for a bit, you get money after, even if you get voted out.
You do, but I don't know after being incarcerated if he would still get that money.
And then sent to prison, might be a bit different.
I don't think so. So, yeah, I mean, everybody's saying, like Lambeth's saying Felicity's dad, she does favors, blah, 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 whatever. It's just one of those things where everybody, like, if you look at Renee's apartment, right, he's lived in the same place since we met him, in the same little apartment.
He's still in the Glades.
Yeah, I mean, he's still living in this dump, and I'm like, why is he's working at the police department now, but he's living in this, like, dumpy apartment. I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there. That's not too important. So the thing about working with the police department, so after all this time, and I always feel like it's your typical, like, the military mindset where you're going to do it my way, no matter what, right? So you have these people with Team Arrow who have access to all of this stuff that you don't have. And instead of sitting down and trying to come up with some plan that would make it beneficial for both parties, this guy just comes in and starts barking orders at them. You know what I mean? And so it just seemed a little too much like military stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I kind of was like, this is like Oliver gets fed up really fast, which again is weird because Oliver's usually pretty level-headed. What did you think of that whole thing with the city coming down on him and trying to like take them out of their costumes and put them in regular, like, SWAT clothing and stuff like that? Did you foresee it not going well at the beginning? Because I felt like it was pretty obvious that it was not going to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could tell. And also because there was stuff in the trailer with them in their suits and that hadn't happened yet in the episode. So yeah, I knew they'd be suiting up eventually. But it was just more like, once again, just added drama. Like, we need some conflict here. We need like some sort of progression throughout the episode. But it's typical, but it didn't bother me that much.
And we did get the confirmation that Dinah's cry is screwed up. It's not that it's gone; it's like
it's almost like it's almost like glitchy. It's almost like almost like it's almost like a flashlight running at a battery, just sort of starting to like flicker.
Right.
Like crap, need new batteries.
Yeah.
In regards to Dinah, it's need new throat, but.
But here's the thing, don't they have the tech to give her a canary cry? I mean, the tech exists, right?
Well, they could just give Laurel had, that thing that went around her neck.
Right. I'm saying it exists. I mean, yeah, she doesn't have the meta power anymore, but they could give her the choker that Cisco. I think Cisco made it, right? Wasn't that?
Well, Cisco just took Sarah's little thing,
right,
and put it in it. Oh, maybe he made it smaller, but he basically used Sarah's little siren.
So I mean, I feel like they could use that to help amplify the power, so it doesn't hurt her to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they could, but I don't know. I don't know.
Either way, so now we know why she doesn't use it. It's not that it doesn't. It's not that she doesn't have it. It's just not what it was before, and it hurts her to use it. So that makes sense. I prefer that over it just being gone because that seems like a bit much. So we're gonna jump around a bit because there is a couple big things I want to talk about before we move on to the Flash. So let's jump over to the Emiko and Laurel stuff. What did you think about that? The interactions between them in the episode.
I was okay with it, I guess. I think that's like a focus in episode 17. I think. I think the biggest interesting thing is going to be that Oliver's obviously going to side with Emiko probably for like the first half of the episode, and then something shifty will happen. And he'll be like, "Oh, maybe Laurel was right." I can already read the episode, but I'm interested to see whether Emiko gets, like, what's her storyline going to be? Is it going to be the thing where she's, triple crossing? Like, is she pretending to be with Oliver, but actually with Dante, but then she's actually pretending to be with Dante and is actually siding with Oliver? Because that's basically what it is in the comics.
Right.
It's like a triple crossing. And I don't know if C. Shimuka, like when they announced all the Arrow stuff, whether she like hinted that she'd be in next season or not. Because if she did, then I have to say then the triple cross is probably going to happen.
If she's not, then she's definitely a bad guy and she's gone this season. I mean, that's pretty much the way it works. So here's my thing. Somebody said Mia or Emiko, who was the better actor? Oh, Giovanni. Who was the better actor in this episode? I would say Emiko, I think. I mean, I think it's Mia's voice is a bit off-putting. Yeah. I think that's what it is. Emiko's got more of a, I don't like to be mean, but a bit of a more normal voice. While Mia's is that typical, like, I don't like to use the word bratty, but it's a bratty. Like very high pitched, like you wouldn't be able to have too long of a conversation. They're doing they're doing a really good job of making her an unlikable character, if that's what they're going for. Because it's really weird. Like it's like almost like bipolar. Like she's changing moods every 2 seconds and changing tones, but it's still the same, if that makes sense. Right. It's weird. So my question though is, how did Emiko know that Laurel was Black Siren? I mean, did I miss somewhere where that information was available to her? Because that shouldn't be available to any. There's only the core group of people even know that, and I don't think there's a paper trail for that either. So how would she have known that? How would Emiko know that Laurel's Black Siren? Dante might know. But how? How would he know? Well, skills. But I'm saying, like, I'm trying to think logically which character would have flipped and said something. I don't know. Oh, Diaz. That's a good point. I just saw Diaz's name. She worked with Diaz, which means that he knew. So that makes sense. Dante would know. That makes sense. Which would then go to Emiko. Yeah. I completely forgot that even happened because it just slipped my mind with the whole Diaz thing or whatever. Last season was so weird to me. I saw someone say that season 6 was trash. I just thought season 6 was just average. It wasn't trash. It was just like, I think it's better than, it was better than season 3 and 4. It's probably on line with season 3 because season 3 had some big moments, but then sort of shits the bed in the last 7 episodes. Yeah. So when you even out season 3, it's probably the same as season 6. I think putting season 6 with season 4 is like, it's almost like borderline. Well, I question your intelligence. Season 4 was so bad from start to finish. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I think the first half of season 4 is somewhat watchable. Once you get into that, like it's overly magic, you're like, you rage quit. I think if you don't rage quit before, like the first watch, fair enough. But if you rewatch and you get past, I think it's episode 18 or something, you need a medal. Holy crap! You get to the point where you're like, I know where this is going. I need to stop, otherwise. Canada Grass watching the video at 1.75 speed to get caught up. Speak slower. I agree with that. And so, guys, no, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me, at least, and I would say Pagey may think the same way, is that Emiko probably knows about Laurel being Black Siren because of Dante and Diaz's connection. That makes the most sense. It doesn't seem... They're probably not going to cover how she knows, but it would... I mean, it makes the most sense for it to be Diaz.
Yeah.
Also, Diaz, no body, guys. And even Bronze Tiger said there's been no announcement of him being killed in prison. I'm still on the team that he's not gone completely. I mean, that's how I feel.
I said in the beginning of my review, because I think I know exactly what they've done. If they're doing Ninth Circle, then I think it's pretty. I think I know it's pretty obvious. If anyone's like read the stuff, it's pretty obvious what they've done with Diaz, where the initiation sort of thing into like members of the Ninth Circle, or like to their what do they call it, the under people, whatever. So they basically burn them alive in lava. They dip them in lava, or like molten crap. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling like they're going to change it for the show, where like some sort of initiation thing for like almost like cronies, if you want to call them, of the Ninth Circle that aren't like that upper echelon where Dante is, is that they get burnt. Is it? Are they called the Burned? Is that what they're called? It's something like that.
You know more about that than I do. I barely know anything about that.
I haven't read it for like, God, it's been years. It's been like, when was it? When did that stuff come out? It was like a couple of years ago. Whatever they're called. But it looks like, because the thing is, and we know it, and it, like Kirk Acevedo sort of like tweeted out and didn't say goodbye or anything like that. Like if he was dead, he would just say goodbye, thanks for having me on Arrow. Like he'd say a proper goodbye.
He'd probably be sharing like set photos and stuff, because just like Danielle, he's very invested in the fandom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he would do that. So it just makes me think, and if they were going to show him dead, they would have showed his eyes closing, or they would have actually shown his body being taken.
Same thing. I mean? Same thing with James on Supergirl. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, so he's definitely... It just matters when he comes back. Like, does he come back in... I'd probably say, like, episode 19 or 20, probably. He'll come back. And that's mainly because next episode's a... what do you call it?
Mia doesn't look anything like Felicity, is what Sonia says. Mia doesn't look anything like Felicity. Well, you know, what you call it? John Diggle Jr. doesn't look like Bronze Tiger either. But, I mean, it's just...
Well, when I first saw Mia, I thought, well... She must be a Lance, because she sort of looks like she could be the daughter of Katie Cassidy, and if you want to stretch it out, even Sarah as well. Felicity just feels like it's almost pandering. I think it is, but maybe they should have got a different actress to suit Felicity. That would be like more of a daughter-esque, relation. But yeah.
Well, somebody gave a super chat. Mick Twiz with a $5 super chat goes, "This year Oliver lost his mask and Barry lost his chin strap." Yeah, all of our in tonight's episode of The Flash, let's jump ahead for a second. Barry loses the mask again. We're going to get into that. Like, what the hell? So anyway, going back to, let's try and get through this, because I want to also talk about the thing with Connor Hawk, but let's go ahead and talk about the flash forward scenes. I almost feel like they're setting up a spinoff show of these characters in the future. I mean, it feels like they're setting up this other, like, Arrow 2040 or whatever it is. Like, it feels like they're investing a lot into these characters from the future. You know what I mean? There was a lot of it in this episode for me.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think they're going to come back next season? You think we're going to get flash forwards next season?
Well, they confirmed that. They said as long as the show keeps going, there'll be flash forwards.
Well, then I guess that answers that. So we're going to have these characters for another season, so...
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I just hope that they don't take... Because we're only getting 10 episodes. So I'm hoping that it doesn't take up
really
a lot.
Really 9, because you take the crossover out.
So weird. This episode, they had to chase down the cassette player. And that was like the premise of the thing, is to find a deck to get the message from Felicity, who apologizes to both Mia and William. And so she gives them coordinates that happen to be in the Glades. Now, here's the big thing for me is we've been talking about the Glades so much in the future. I could have predicted that was where we were going to go. I mean, it just seemed like it was the right place to go. And the set that they were filming in looked like the set from the prison. Was it the prison set?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, and they filmed another scene from a couple of episodes ago in the prison as well. And I think it makes sense. They spent money on the prison set. You got to use it. I understand that. But last episode, it was so like blatantly obvious it was the prison that like I couldn't get my. I saw it and I was like, oh, the prison, and it just didn't look like a black market. It looked really weird. It's like, this is the strangest black market I've ever seen.
Right.
But oh no, you know what it was? Was it Flash? A couple of weeks ago, used that for their black market.
Yeah.
I think for the gold-faced episode.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
I think they used the prison.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, it looked a bit too prison-y, but we'll let it go.
Okay, look at that. Just trying to have my windows open. All right, so last two things to talk about on Arrow before we move on, if anybody's got any questions, is the Black Ops Team Arrow. So we're going to be working out of the OG, or the second Arrow cave that we had, the one that we had for like 3 seasons. We're going back there, and we're going to be working out of there. Now, I feel like they're doing that because we've got one final season, and they just want that place to be the last place that the team operates out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They already have the set. They're ending after 10 episodes. There's no point in giving them a new Arrow cave, right?
Well, it just, yeah, I must say, whoever built it fixed it up quick because it was trashed. It was completely trashed by Diaz and his people.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they rang Barry and was like, look, we need you to fix this up, please. We saw you do a building really quickly. Can you fix our bunker quickly? It'll take 2 seconds.
Oh, God, I did hear about that. Adriel Ortega. I heard about that. I don't want to get into it right now, though, because I want to get through what we're talking about.
The stream's already going to get demonetized. We don't need to get
we don't need it any worse. Yeah, exactly. And the last thing I want to talk about, the one thing that kind of bugged me, and I talked about this on Twitter, and we've talked about it before. So, the guy, I believe his name is it Daniel Jones? John Daniel Jones, I think is the actor.
Joseph David Jones.
David Jones. I knew it was a JD something. He's the same person that played John Diggle Jr. in the 2046 episode. I double-checked this. I watched the episode again. And so it's the same actor playing that version of John Diggle Jr. as the one who's playing Connor Hawke now. And he's not Diggle's biological son, but he looks exactly the same. That's a little weird to me. I mean, time travel, okay, fine, I get it, but literally looking like the same person and being someone else's child, there has to be something more to that. There has to be, right? I mean, that can't just be... Because I watched back and I didn't hear what he said first, but I believe he calls him Connor, and then he says, my little hawk, and I'm like... And then we had Connor Hawke in the future saying that he was Diggle's adopted son, even though he was his biological son in 2046.
I guess we can just say it's similar to Henry Allen and Jay Garrick. Let's just say that and move on, because I already have a headache.
Yeah, but wasn't Henry Allen basically the same person? He just had a different name, right?
Yeah, in like season 2, he said like Garrick or something like that, and they said, "Oh, that was my mother's maiden name" or something like that.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
then you could, yeah.
Somebody's saying because of Flashpoint, but Flashpoint happened after 2046. So
yeah,
and the whole point of Flashpoint was to give them a son. I won't say the whole point of it, but for Arrow,
I was gonna say that'd be a weird point.
Yeah, no, that was the whole point of it. But in Arrow, that was the main point: was that the daughter went from Sarah to John Diggle Jr. That was their connection to Flashpoint. Matter of fact, they just made a joke about it on Flash. They just made a joke about it, or say like throwing shade is probably the better thing, but they did that on the episode of Flash. So why do all this? What is the point of this? Like, why?
I don't know. Maybe they have different plans for the actual John Diggle Jr. in the future.
So what I was thinking, this was what I thought would be really cool. If John Diggle Jr. took up the name Connor Hawke as a memory to Bronze Tiger's son, who might have been his best friend. That would have been like, oh, wow, okay, so that's why he uses that name. Because we still don't know why he was... Because he was using Connor Hawke in 2046.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like... I think I said this to you, it was a big change for little reward. Mm-hmm. Because... It's the same. It doesn't. I don't see what the reward from changing it all is, unless they have actual bigger plans for the actual John Diggle Jr., the one that we have in present day. That's the only thing I can think of. If not, he's just some like random character in the future where he doesn't really do much. Then I don't really understand the change.
Right. Okay.
Like, it's not bad writing. It's just like a strange... Because bad writing can be just seen as lazy writing, like skipping over something. I don't think this is necessarily bad writing. It's just an odd change. It's a big change for little reward.
I saw that beef between Amel and Batista. I don't know if it was true or if it was just them being stupid.
I think it's Batista not being able to get a joke, I think.
Because
Amel was joking.
I put, like, is this real? Like, for real? Like, his response was, like, are you kidding me? This is a guy that works in the same type of media as you do. He's a superhero. And he's talking about wrestling and joking. And you come back with that kind of, like...
Well, basically, everyone in the replies was just saying, like, dude, it's a joke, calm down.
What an idiot, man. Like, I didn't used to dislike him, but slowly over time I'm starting to get annoyed with him. Anyway, in the comment section, before we move on to Flash, what would you rate that episode of Arrow, the one from last night? Give me, on 1 to 10, what would you guys rate it? The episode Training Day. 8 cassettes out of 10. Okay, that's pretty good. 7, 10.
I don't even think I was going to actually give it a 7. I just wrote 8 because I saw someone else write 8.
I saw a 10 out of 10. Wow. That's pretty interesting. So I'm seeing a lot of 7s and 8s, so I feel like it's pretty close. All right, so let's go ahead, because everybody wants to talk about this. So if you got any super chats about it, now is the time. Let's talk about The Flash. Failure is an orphan. And that actual title has a double meaning, I think, now after we saw the end of the episode. All right, so this is the funny thing about this episode was it was very slow all the way through until the end.
Well, I think the last I saw some differing opinions. I guess we'll talk about it in a second, but I saw a lot of people have like the opposite thoughts to me, but I'll give my thoughts. It's like the first half I thought was, oh god, like this is gonna be boring. I thought this is gonna be like some drawn out thing. Even if Cicada goes, like he dies, it's gonna be a boring episode because they're stretching this out. So the first half was just very meh, but I thought, especially the last quarter, but I'll be generous and say the last half I thought was much better. But you know, I don't think it was written that bad for the most part. There was a couple of things, like the main thing that there was 2 things that made me roll my eyes. The first one was the excess espresso. I'm like, yeah,
oh yeah,
stuff the timeline
I'm like, okay, are we just not caring about this anymore? Like literally.
Yeah, like, are we just giving the middle finger to the timeline?
And Barry's like, oh, they're going to have action figures of you. I'm like, no, that's... This character did not exist in your future. Do you see that?
Because then wouldn't that change young Nora's path to becoming excess because that character would already exist and she might not know it's her and stuff like that? It just like, fold over
and
itself.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is why Todd Helbing is not coming back next year. So...
Oh, yeah, he's gone. But, the other thing was the list. The list for me didn't make sense. Like, understanding having a list, but rushing to make the list for one, I was like, you know, like if we had a deadline, you'd already be gone, Nora. There's like, I'm sure you'd be able to stay an extra week or 2 after Cicada's gone to play with your list.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, she's literally been there for like 9 months now. So
yeah,
what is the rush now? All of a sudden,
yeah. And the other thing was that. Why is Iris the one trying to rush it? Shouldn't it be Barry? Or at least if Iris is rushing it, it's to include Barry. But she was like, oh no, we can do this stuff while your dad's doing work. I'm like, you're alive in the future, Iris. Shouldn't like it be with Barry? And then she was like, oh, I'm going to miss you. Like, but if we do our quick math, Nora should be born in like 3 years' time, 2 or 3 years' time.
Yeah.
So you'll have Nora then. Fair enough, she'll be a baby, but you'll have Nora in your life in like 2 to 3 years. That's the only thing. I was so just things like that would confuse me, where they just needed to fill time up in the episode and give, because Iris is the main female, you have to give her some stuff. Then you also had like the Joe and Cecile stuff. So there's a lot of stuff taking up time, but there's still time left in the episode. So I guess it was just left with Iris wanting to do this stuff with Nora. It was a bit weird.
Right.
And like he couldn't have Barry there because he was busy. So.
Right. So somebody asked who the new showrunner is going to be. His name is Eric Wallace, I believe, and he's been working on The Flash for the last couple years as like a director/executive producer, I believe.
Yeah, just sort of like a producer.
So, look, I'm not going to micromanage because I thought that Beth was going to be really bad on Arrow, and so I micromanaged everything she did down to like this one idea of what she was going to do, and I was completely wrong. So I'm not going to look at any of his previous stuff. I'm just going to say it's good to have somebody new in The Flash after what's been going on the last couple seasons.
Yeah, I give him benefit of the doubt because someone just pointed out that on Twitter he did. For those that want to know, if you want to have some bad blood towards Eric Wallace already, he did write "Run Iris Run," so that's like the negative against him. The positive is that he wrote, I think, 3 of the stronger episodes in season 4. Which
Wasn't Enter Flash Time one of them?
No, he wrote the premiere for season 4, the finale for season 4, and Therefore I Am. Those are the 3.
Therefore I Am was one of my favorite ones, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so he wrote 3 out of the 4 episodes he's written on The Flash so far, I think, are good episodes, if not great. Therefore I Am. Run, Iris, Run. He was just stuck with that episode. He was given the premise.
Well, that's the thing is, that's what I'm saying. Like, he might have been constrained by whatever they had him doing.
Yeah, it's like with Beth. Beth Schwartz in the past has actually written some not very good episodes. Like, she wrote some very heavy Olicity episodes which people didn't like. And that's why there was a lot of I guess people just worried maybe going into this season of Arrow, like, is it going to be just a full-on Olicity fest? And she's proven us wrong, and that's because being a good writer or a bad writer doesn't affect how you show run or how you run a show. The perfect example is Todd Helbing. He's actually a good writer. If you go back to his work previously on The Flash, he's actually a very good writer. Guggenheim as well, good writers. But show running, it's almost like they get too confident in themselves and they just think they can do anything rather than thinking what's best for the show.
Right.
So if they favor a character or something, it can heavily lean into their show running ability. And Todd Helbing, I don't think he's necessarily favored a character. I just don't think he cares that much. Like, I think that's the best thing. I
almost feel like he doesn't know how to write Barry. Like, he doesn't know how to write the Flash character. Like, he writes everybody else fine, or he directs everybody else fine, but I don't feel like he knows how to write Barry.
The biggest example of him not really being able to, and like that thing about like favoring characters is Nora this season, because Todd's actually friends with Jessica Parker Kennedy. He's worked with her on Black Sails for God knows how many years beforehand. So he's just like, oh, come to the show, I'll give you all this stuff. And she's basically the main character this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and giving candidates, because I made this point to people before, that sometimes writer and directors have only so much control over what they can do. They're given a direction to head in by the showrunner. So the showrunner is literally the person that comes up with pretty much everything. They decide what they're going to do, and then everybody under them has to fall in line with that story. Yeah. So,
from what I know, like sometimes there can be like lead people in the writers' room who can like maybe correct what a show, like if a showrunner wants to do like something that might go against what the show's doing, they might not realize, and the writers' room or the lead writers in the writers' room can be like, oh no, well maybe this shouldn't happen. But yeah, for the most part, the showrunner would get the rub of the green, and they'd get to do what they want to do.
Sorry you didn't get a notification, Markel Scott. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. We've been live for about 35 minutes, so we're just talking about Flash now. Another thing I want to point out for anybody that's watching live now, if you missed anything, I don't know how long it's going to take this to process to be ready to watch, because YouTube is stuffed up at the moment. So it will be available to watch as soon as it's done processing, and I cannot give you guys... Normally it's about an hour after it's done. I don't know how long it's going to take this time. Yeah, it says, look, YouTube has been very defective today. That's a really nice way of putting it, Canada Grass, by the way. God, I don't even know where to begin with this episode anymore, because, I mean, it's like it was all over the place in terms of what's going on. So Joe's story in this episode was really strong because he was the one who found out the Doctor was connected. And I thought that was really good because that connection hadn't happened all season. And Joe comes back, and within like 2 episodes, he's tracked down the Doctor. And that's what led us to getting Cicada, obviously. So I thought Joe's part in this episode was really good. Plus, I like Jesse Martin. I could watch him pretty much do anything in an episode, and it's fine. Cecile was a little annoying for the first time this season, I think. With her powers and stuff. A lot of people are still... why did the pictures go away? A lot of people are still confused on what her powers actually are, because she was saying she was a human lie detector, and I saw some people on Twitter going, what? Her powers change? No, she's empathic. So she can feel what somebody else is feeling. So if they're feeling nervous or skittish or whatever, then that's like a red flag for her that they're telling a lie. Right? I mean, they haven't changed her powers, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So there's that. So the Joe part was fine, but let's dive into the entire premise of this episode and talk about why it drove me up the wall. Are we ready for this? Are you guys ready for this? and I'm sure it's going to piss some people off. I'll probably get negative comments about it. So, do we remember what the lesson was in season 3 of The Flash? The big lesson is that you don't go to the future. Jay Garrick says you don't look at the future and try to change the past because it doesn't work. So the big lesson was we're not going to do that anymore. Barry was like, we're not going to time travel the future and use that as a way to correct problems in the present day. And then what do we do in this episode? Nora was literally giving them vague information about the future, and they're just blindly following behind her, listening to everything that she's saying. And this is problematic because Nora, throughout the entire season, has been known for being impulsive, for doing things incorrectly. And we see at the beginning of the episode, even when she's like taking charge of the team, basically, that they think of it as cute or fun or whatever. She's not a baby. This isn't like, oh, look at her walking for the first time or whatever. This is a full-grown adult. And she's been doing so many things this season that have just made me angry. But this one was like, how are we going to like forget what we learned all the way back in season 3 of The Flash when we had to deal with Savitar? That was a big thing. And the team is like rallying around and putting up the whiteboards and doing this and doing that, all based on this book that, guess what? She still hasn't fully explained to anybody. And Sherlock, I thought that he already decoded the book. Did I see that wrong? Like 4 episodes ago, it said it was done processing the book, and he's still processing it? Like, wait, let me know if I'm wrong, because people always say I never say that. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I'm pretty sure that we had a screen pop up that said, like, deciphering done or something. Wasn't that like 2 or 3 episodes ago?
It was some time ago. Did it say it was fully done, or didn't it just say like some of it was done? They couldn't.
It just said decoding done or something, like complete. Like,
yeah, I think it was done. I'm pretty sure it was done. But then, like an episode or 2 before that, it could only get a couple of messages. But I think eventually it got all done.
I know what it said in this episode, 71% complete. I'm talking about like in a previous episode. So it's like, wait a minute. So we had that going on. Then we're listening to her again with this book where Barry's like, what is it? Does it tell you what I said? And she's like, no, but it says this, this, and this, and this. And I'm like, wait a minute. How could it tell you all these other things he said, but it didn't tell you what he said to Cicada? Clearly, Barry's an idiot, because I would say, well, that's impossible. It should know what I said if you know all these other things that were said. So why doesn't it know that? So the whole process of this was just like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking for real? Like, Sherlock is probably keeping it a secret, but this was the end game. This was the end of it. This was supposed to be the finale for the fight with Cicada, you know? And he didn't say anything. And I saw him talking to Iris, and again, she's gone back to just letting him talk down to Nora. Which, that one random scene that we got where she was angry with him, I guess we're never going to go back to that. I guess that's done. It was just a lot of that in this episode. A lot of just like this, that, and the other. And then at the beginning, we see her talking to Thawne, and he says that there's a new timeline trying to break through. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, this is cool, but I mean, the book is supposed to tell you change, like the changes that happen. Supposedly the book holds on to the previous changes that you've made so that you can correct mistakes. That's the way they're describing it, right? So like if you, and correct me if I'm wrong here, if you change something, you can look in the book and it tells you what it was before, correct? Is that what the book is supposed to do? So none of this stuff should matter in the future, technically, because Nora could just look and see what happened based on her point in time, which is why I said this season feels like it's about Nora, because normally we follow Barry when he time travels. And when Barry time travels, changes happen around Barry, but Barry is the person who is the constant. Whereas in this season, Nora is the constant because the changes are happening around her. And that's such a weird thing. Isn't it? She's not the main character.
Yeah, it's, what's the word? It's just very strange. It's just not done very well.
Yeah, and
as I said, it's like, it comes back to the whole Todd Helbing thing about like Jessica Parker Kennedy and just revolving everything around her this season. Mm-hmm. Because like, old friend, come be on the show and all that. So
but see, I felt like when somebody was asking how do we split up the show, say first half, second half. Well, the shows are 42 to 45 minutes long. So the first 20 minutes will be the first half, and the back half will be the last 20 minutes. And usually that's the half-hour mark when you're watching the episode live with commercials. So that's how I split it. That's how I personally split it up. Because usually in the fourth act is when you get the big fight, and then the fifth act is like the wrap-up. Very rarely is the fifth act like the big fight, because you want to give that downtime right before you go to your credits or whatever. I don't even understand. Okay, so we also have Barry pulling his mask off and revealing his identity to the bad guy again, which has become a meme in itself. Barry does it all the time. I actually like the hood when he pulls it off, because you can see that it's like flexible, like the rest of that, like the outfit that he has here. The hood that he pulls off that hangs on the back looks like it's made of that same material. So I don't understand why we have that separate headpiece. It's a little bit like, okay. Guys, this ain't Barry's show anymore. Yeah, I mean, I keep saying it every week. I just don't want to believe it. So let's jump back to the Nora Iris thing for a second, because I kind of want to talk about this. When they're talking about her going back, like when they say, you know, when this is over and you go back and whatnot, and they're talking about Sherlock going back and whatnot, does Nora not realize that her personal life is going to be very different with these changes? I mean, she's going to go back to a future that she doesn't even know. And then, according to Flashpoint, she should lose all of her memories over time and become acclimated to that future. I mean, that's the way it was explained by Eobard. The Eobard we have right now, that's how it was explained to Barry from Eobard. When you make these changes in the past and you come back to your present, those changes catch up with you, and eventually they delete your memories, pretty much, or replace your memories. Does Nora know that's going to happen, or does she just not?
Probably doesn't care.
That's so weird. That's so. You guys.
She's probably under the assumption that I'm going to save my dad, so everything's going to be different regardless.
I guess. Oh, by the way, we also found out so late in the season that the Doctor's fiance was killed by a metahuman. That's why she has this agenda against metahumans.
Yeah, killed during Zoom's thing.
Right, and then we find out, and then she dies in this episode.
Yeah.
Character development, death. That's really what happened there. So, that was kind of interesting. So, I guess we should just, because it was so boring pretty much all the way up to the end, I guess we could go ahead and jump up to what happens with Cicada. So, the premise is, you know, they're trying to get Cicada to submit to this cure. And in my mind, I'm thinking Cicada hates metahumans. So if he gets rid of his powers, he can't defeat them. So making Grace the twist in that, where she's a metahuman and she's going to change and it's going to do this to her, using that to make him change his mind, I actually thought that was pretty clever. You know, I thought that was smart. Because, I mean, we kind of knew she was going to be a metahuman, or that she was somehow connected to the dagger. We kind of knew that was the case. But he didn't know that because he hadn't seen her in months, probably.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of that twist? Did you think that was the right way to bring him around, or did you think that was just like an easy out? What did you think of that?
I was okay with it. I wouldn't say I loved it. I was just okay with it. I thought it was just like convenient that, you know, like the whole thing with Cicada is that, like, you know, he's been pretty quick to just kill people, but then there's always these speeches that he has with the Flash and stuff like that. And the other thing, I was like, why didn't Killer Frost stay there? You know, the first fight.
Let me jump away.
He didn't have the dagger. He didn't have the dagger. He didn't have the dagger. So you're better off staying there than doing the breach thing again. Just
They could have taken him down there and then.
anyway.
I still don't understand why they haven't tried to
going.
throw the dagger to another Earth. Literally have Cisco just throw it to another Earth. You know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway,
know.
another thing. So when they finally get Cicada to go back to Star Labs to have this surgery and everything, Barry runs him to Star Labs, super speed. And then while he's in there getting surgery done, Barry's like, my powers are back. I'm like, your powers never left. You ran him to Star Labs at super speed. When did your powers go away at that point? He had the dagger in his hand. My powers are back. Okay, I guess. That got under my skin too.
What was that?
When Barry ran him back to Star Labs while the dagger was in his freaking hand. Like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and then when he's in the surgery, you see Barry like vibrate his hand. He's like, my powers are back. I'm like, they never went away. He never took them away from you. So we're still not sure how the dagger works. It's definitely like the Philosopher's Stone of this season. Like, it doesn't really make sense on how it works. But I guess it doesn't even really matter anymore based on what happened at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so they put the Medicure in Cicada, and it technically works, right? And then we get this, like, almost like Roy Harper type or Thea-sized Cicada jumping through the window at Star Labs and proceeds to kick everyone's ass. And I mean in, like, the biggest fashion ever. Like, if you were falling asleep, this part of the episode should have woke you up because it was literally, I think, the best part of the episode. Now, I was thinking there's no way that's present-day Grace because she was taller and she already had the Cicada outfit. And I can't remember, I think it might have been you in your Discord where you were like, did they just sell those clothes everywhere? The clothes come with the powers or something like that? Someone said it in your Discord.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess, because it didn't make much sense. And then this Cicada doesn't need the dagger to use powers. So not only that, but they do everything. It does everything. Like, it can push you back. It can hold you against the wall. It can lift you up. It can move things around. So the Cicada power is, like, extended to this energy field or whatever. And then, like, she's got almost like boomerang daggers. I don't know what they're called. What are those called?
Yeah, I know. They look like boomerangs, but, like, it's like, it's like almost like just curved daggers. I don't know what you'd call it.
Yeah.
Curved dagger. Let me Google that. Let me see what it comes up with. a janbia. That's a curved dagger, apparently.
Okay. All right. Well, she's got those
It's
things.
Arabic.
There are two of
curved
them.
blade.
There are two of them, and they look like they're charged up. They don't look like Cicada's dagger, but they definitely have some sort of energy in them.
Yeah, but maybe it's her energy. Maybe her hands are giving it the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's almost like I don't know who does that. People with hand energy. They make their weapons get hand energy.
Another thing is how did it deflect lightning? How did they deflect lightning? Because that
maybe because because her powers are like dampening sort of things. Maybe she just blocks stuff. It just dampens those powers when they come in contact. Just like how Cicada's shield, when you know that force field, you can just put around him. Maybe that's what her powers do. Or maybe when she puts them into the
which, by the way,
blades
he only used one time. I think he never used it again. Right? He used it one time and didn't use it against Killer Frost. He could have probably blocked her Frost Blast, the force field.
This episode he used it for the acid person.
Yeah, but doesn't use it for Killer Frost. So
nah.
So now we have this future version of Grace that is the Cicada of the future. And, you know, a lot of people, when we were watching the memories, or we were in Grace's head, and we saw that female version, I was hoping we'd never see it in live, because I'm like, that just would be, like, too much, you know what I mean? And then we see it, and we see this future Grace come in. Has she been here all along? Is that what we're supposed to believe? Or, like, how did she time travel? Because even Amethyst was asking about that. Like, is she a speedster? No, I don't think so.
Do you want to know?
Well, I mean, I know what we see in the preview trailer with the time orb or the time ship or whatever.
The time sphere. That must have been in the Flash Museum, and she's used it to get back.
It was operational? The time sphere was operational in the Flash Museum?
Look, the Flash Museum, who knows what they're up to, but they're obviously not thinking much, but it looks like she's just used the time sphere to get back. So... And
she knew... why am I still questioning this at this point? She knew exactly when he was going to have his powers taken away. Like the day it happened to the second. They were literally stitching him up. She knew. It's like,
I don't know.
Oh, God. I can't anymore. I just can't with this. I just can't. It's beating me
I
down.
I guess the big question now is like, what happens with Eobard? Because he's screwed now. Because she's got the dagger now and everything like that. Does she like become super duper overpowered with that dagger now?
Because now, okay, so are we to assume that she never has the dagger in the future because she gets the powers from the shard that's in her head? I mean, that's what we're assuming, right? So all of her Cicada powers come from that?
Yeah, I think early on people maybe just assume that she has the dagger because the early version of Cicada had the dagger.
Right.
But then once she comes along, she just uses her blades and her energy, but people just still assume she has that dagger or something like that.
Oh, Howling Wolf brought up that's a good point. They showed the time machine like the one Thawne had at the end of season 1 in the promo for next episode. Yeah, I saw that. I'm guessing that's how she came back, but Thawne needed a speedster to use it. That it didn't operate, remember? It didn't work. They had to create the portal. That was the whole premise at the end of season 1.
Uh-oh. Godspeed. Are we saying it's Godspeed? Hashtag Godspeed confirmed.
I don't know about that. Tashawn is saying that's how she beat Supergirl. Yeah, this version of Cicada could probably beat Supergirl. I mean, she's really powerful, so I would not be surprised.
Yep, Godspeed alert. Godspeed Cicada team up coming. Episode 17, 18, and possibly 19.
What are we talking about here? What show are we talking about? I'm pretty sure it's Black Lightning, because I get people... Yeah, it's Black Lightning. I've already expressed a bazillion times why I don't cover Black Lightning. It has nothing to do with the quality of the show, or that I don't watch it. If this live stream covered every show that I watched, it would be 5 hours long. I have to make it very specific on what I'm covering. These shows are all connected, so that's why I cover them. So she's got the dagger now. So maybe she's complete. Maybe it's full circle now. Maybe it's full circle. You know, maybe she's like, maybe Grace was connected to the dagger. Wait a minute, but my head's gonna explode. I don't even know how to word this because it's just so confusing. So Grace in the future becomes Cicada. But she can only become Cicada if she continues to be a metahuman, which would require, or it would mean the cure was not used, which would mean that Cicada, Orlin, never took the cure. So how could she come back to stop it? Her future would have turned without her knowing. She's not a speedster. The time would have just changed, and she would have changed with it.
No, because she came back before she got given the cure.
No. I mean, they were going to give him the cure and then go give her the cure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if she came back and interfered with it, then that would never happen, which means the future version of Grace would not have that information. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe it's just some blind luck.
Okay, so
had a feeling.
I'm just saying. Okay, so say for example, in order for Grace to come back, the current version of Grace has to become Cicada, right?
Yes.
So if the cure was successful in curing the current Cicada, they would have immediately gone and cured Grace. There would have been no time for her to make those changes because she wouldn't have that information. She wouldn't know. She's not a speedster. It would change and she would change with it.
The only thing I can think of is maybe it's some sort of like telepathic connection.
To the dagger.
Yes. So maybe the dagger...
Even over time, though? Like,
Hashtag drama alert. We possibly might have figured it out. Keemstar's not in the comment section. It's all good. Okay, we'll talk about it without him. Maybe, you know how it showed like the dagger like rattling and then just sort of like dying off? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's her reading. And that's what brought her back to that time. And that's why she did the big Bruce Willis, let's jump through a window sort of move into all of that. That's why she grabbed the dagger, and as soon as she grabbed it like lit back up. So maybe that's what was going on. Maybe how like Barry's got a connection to the Speed Force. We know that she's connected to the this whole thing because she's been hit by the same piece of satellite that made the dagger.
Yeah.
So maybe when the dagger died off, when Orlin was cured, maybe that went like not triggered her, but just sort of like made her connect to it. It's like we'll have to go back there and prevent it. And then that gives her time. That gives her time.
Oh, you mean the present day Grace knew about it, and so that means
the future. The present day would find out about it, but it would become like a memory.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when
Yeah.
that happened, if present day Grace is actually connected to the dagger, because we've theorized about it. There's been no confirmation to it, but we've theorized about it. If she was connected, then that means she could plan it way in advance, only because she would be literally connected to the dagger. So does this confirm that the current day Grace is in fact connected to the same dagger that her uncle is? It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it wouldn't surprise. They might not explain that in that much detail, but it wouldn't surprise me. That's how she knew about it. Like, because the present day little girl Grace in the hospital bed is connected to the dagger. It sort of dies off, so she gets that reading, which then becomes a memory to the older Grace. And so, well, something's changing. I have to go back and stop everything.
Okay, so we got a super chat here. Somehow I missed it from Markel Scott, but it's on topic, so that's fine. How was Grace able to block 2 guns shooting lasers, ice blast, vibe blast, and a lightning strike while standing in the same spot? Okay, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. So my take on it is, I hope you're still here. I think you're probably still here. She's been Cicada for a lot longer, so that's probably why she's more powerful. It's probably why she knows how to use the powers much better than her father. Or her uncle. I'm going to call BS on some of it, only because we don't understand it yet. Will we ever get an explanation? Ask the Savitar suit. Ask the Philosopher's Stone. Like, ask those things, because we probably will not get an explanation. But I'm going to assume that it's because she's had the powers longer, because there was a statement that Cicada does eventually come back, and since they don't know, or they didn't know who was under that mask, they could just assume it's the same person, because they wouldn't know, you know? Because she doesn't have any reason to wear that. So I'm assuming she's wearing it as homage to her uncle, most likely. Just to be the same villain. Because we know why he wears it, but we don't know why she would wear it, other than just to pretend to be him. So, what was I going to jump into next with this? What did I have? I got my notes here. Oh, so the actress playing Future Grace also was on Smallville. Did you know that? She played She played Alicia. I think Giovanni's the one that sent it to me. Let's see. Let's see what her name is.
Sarah Carter.
Yeah. She was the one that had the teleporting powers. It was on like 4 or 5 episodes, I think. And it's the same actress. But she was in 3 episodes. She's the same actress. Same actress. So they love that. They love to bring those people back. But I knew I recognized her when I saw her. I was like, I know her from somewhere, but I couldn't place it. Also, the lead on Falling Skies. I love that show. I haven't watched the last season. Well, no, I did watch the last season of that because it's over now. Yeah, Clark should have ended up with her. I forgot about the meta in this episode, the one that could do acid. I completely forgot.
Acid Master.
Yeah. Completely forgot about that meta. What did you think about him overall?
I just thought he was there to be a villain. But I thought it was cool. They actually did some scientific stuff with him, which I thought was cool. Like the whole bicarbonate soda. Or was it baking soda?
Yeah.
Whatever. It was basically baking soda and put it over the acid to counter it, which I thought was smart.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other thing? There was... Oh, what was the other thing? And even when, I guess, it ties in with the whole Team Flash thing, when they actually, like, you know, trick Cicada with the whole, like, oh, Killer Frost is dressed as Acid Master, which I thought was convenient, but, you know, let it slide, I guess.
Yeah. So, Mike Haram with the $2 super chat. Did Ralph get a Cicada makeover? Just got here. Well, Ralph has been missing for 2 episodes. He could have been really helpful in both of them. But he's been missing. So I wonder what's going on with that. Is he just going to show back up and be... Well, let's be honest. They want to give Joe more screen time, so that's why Ralph is probably missing. Oh, I want to speak on it because there's a picture of it right now. The scene between Barry and Joe was so season 1 to me that I was like, I love this. I love the two of them in scenes together. And I feel like we haven't had a scene like this in a really long time.
And Barry was actually in his CSI office.
Yeah. I thought it was really, really good.
Is that the first time he's been there this season? Outside of episode 1?
I think so, yeah.
Episode 1, he was there with Nora, and he was doing work. But I think outside of that, this is the first time.
I'm surprised the office is still there. Like, I'm surprised they still have the set put up.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. Wouldn't get much use.
Harley Sawyer is leaving the show next season. Is that confirmed?
No, that's just them saying it.
If Cisco leaves, Hartley will not. I can pretty much guarantee that.
That's probably why they're saying, look, we'll give you a break. We need to keep Cisco in here until the end.
Yeah.
That could be why it is.
All right, so anything else from anybody wants to talk about The Flash, not Godspeed, by the way? Not Godspeed. He's not going to show up yet.
I saw so many people triggered online, like, where's Godspeed? I'm like, well, they never really even like heavily hinted it was in the episode. There's like one bit in the trailer which shows like a yellow light going around. Actually, I guess you could say the thing about, well, that's still not like properly explained either.
Mm-hmm.
About like when Eobard Thawne at the beginning of the episode says something big's coming. Like, was he referencing the Grey Cicada, or is he referencing Godspeed because something was trying to break, someone or something is coming and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Still a bit of a loose end on that because was he referencing
okay,
the Grey
so
Cicada?
but here's the thing. Here we go, Ranty Eric again, right? Okay, so if that was a change in the timeline that he was seeing,
yeah,
why would that be the change? Because if present day Grace was going to remember that, then that should have been something that always happened. You know what I'm saying? Because according to Nora, that was the day that they defeated Cicada. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which means that Grace coming back should have always happened.
No, that thing in the with Thawne, that was just the last reported sighting of what do you call it? Flash and Cicada version before Flash.
No. I mean, I know that. I understand that part. What I'm saying is, with her coming back from the future to interfere, that should have been documented somewhere. Because if he disappeared or left or whatever it may be, and there was no information on that, then Grace should have still became Cicada, right?
No, because then they get the plan to stop Cicada from that future newspaper that Nora sees. So she sees that newspaper, and then she brings it back up with the acid stain on the floor. So originally that wasn't going to happen. The only reason that happens is because Nora's there with Eobard in that cell in the future, and then she comes back. Right,
but what I'm saying though is doesn't that promote that they were successful in what they were trying to do, right? I mean, that's what that.
No,
promotes,
I think it's just something that it didn't happen before, but then.
So you're saying that when he disappeared from that news article, the one they were looking at, that was Nora using that.
She used that
leverage.
information in the past, so
right.
that information that would never happen. But Nora brings that like that, not even information. She just notices that newspaper and then brings it up again. Because she remembers seeing that, like the acid stuff on the floor, because it reminds her when she sees it.
So this means that Eobard is completely screwed. Then, basically, I mean,
Eobard's screwed, yeah, because and he's probably going to be angry that Nora did all this stuff because she didn't follow the plan. So he's probably going to be triggered.
But this is so early for that to happen because wasn't the timer like 11 minutes?
No, in the trailer it's 11 minutes. In this episode it was like 18 minutes and 52 seconds, I think it starts.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so been in the trailer for next week when we go back there. I think it's at 11.
So Descendants TV goes, didn't they say earlier this season they never defeated Cicada? They said that, but then they said that Cicada comes back. That was part of the, like, we got that information, like 2 episodes ago, I think?
In episode 12 in the Flash Museum, they say he goes away, and then after the Flash disappears, he comes back.
Right.
Or Cicada comes back.
Which I'm assuming that's the Grace Cicada is the one that comes back.
Yeah, I guess we're assuming that. Or it could be he comes back in 2024 and then Grace becomes Cicada in maybe
I guess ask Todd Helbing. I mean, I guess ask him because I don't
actually no, in 2024 it wouldn't make sense because Grace would only be like 11. No, she'd be like 14 or 15 years old.
You're right. So it has to be. So the Grace, Grace Cicada is obviously a different one then.
Well, it also they don't specify a year after 24. They just say Cicada comes back after the Flash disappears in 2024. They don't say Cicada comes back in 2024.
Because I'm assuming if she's got this mutation, she wakes up eventually because she's conscious now. So
Well, yeah. I don't know. I think next episode's going to explain a lot of it.
I
think next episode will basically squash any doubts we have around Grace, because they're going through her backstory. They're basically going to say, "Yo,"
and then the episode out of that after that is the future episode. So
it's Godspeed, and I think we're on like a month break before that.
All right, Amethyst, feel better. Thank you for coming in. Okay, so before we wrap this up and move on to something briefly, I'm going to surprise you with something. How's your video looking? Is it uploaded yet?
No.
All right, any other questions about Flash before we move on? Give me your score from 1 to 10. And the reason why I'm trying to rush through is we normally go for 120 to 130. And I want to briefly chat about a couple things. And I saved it for the end, just in case. I do watch Doom Patrol, by the way. People saying watch Doom Patrol.
Well, it's not just RIP. It's basically RIP YouTube.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to upload either.
It's going to be interesting, though. YouTube's going to be flooded with videos whenever this processing thing goes. Like, within, like, a 10-minute period, there's just going to be, like, 1,000 bajillion videos that will go up.
Somebody says how they're going to beat Grace. I don't think they can with her current power level. It's not possible. She's the most powerful character they've ever faced off against, based on what we saw. Unless they can change the present day. The only thing they could do is go to current day Grace and give her the Medicure. That would be the easiest thing to do. Just go give it to her. She's sitting in the hospital. But with the doctor gone now, I don't know how they're going to be able to get in and do that anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. If anybody has any more questions about CW, just leave it in the video below if it ever processes, because it may not. Apparently, I looked on Twitter, there's still people who are waiting for videos to process right now.
I'm one of them.
Look, right here. Mr. J's review posted 30 minutes ago. Why is all of a sudden my video stuck at 0 processing? I uploaded a video a few hours ago with no issues. YouTube just responded 53 seconds ago. We've seen similar reports and looking into it. Appreciate your patience in the meantime. So... oh, well.
Yep, annoying.
All right, so we're going to get out, guys. Thank you so much for stopping in. And, keep an eye out for Pagey's review coming soon in 2020. So
yeah, I'll probably have my trial breakdown out before this goddamn review. That'll be typical.
Oh, God. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming in. Take care. Have a good night.
See ya.